Hello and welcome everyone. Hope you're having a great day. I'm Alex. I'm a one-wheeler from Wisconsin. I like modding my boards as much as I like riding them, and you are here today probably because the JWFFM chip is really expensive, and you can get the same thing for cheaper with just a little bit of extra work. Let's start out by talking about the two chips. First, I'd like to say that I had nothing to do with the development of the code. I just wanted to make this video so that it'd be easier for other people to get this working in their boards. Two things about these chips is, well, the first, the size. The JWFFM chip is a lot smaller than the Owie chip, so that means it's going to be a little bit harder to find a spot for the Owie in your board. The battery compartments are not that big, but the price definitely makes up for it. You can get a 5-pack of these chips for $15 on Amazon, which is definitely going to help out those people overseas who don't want to pay JW's shipping prices for their chip, which seem to be like almost $100 to people overseas. Another great thing about this chip is it has Wi-Fi. So if you want to check the voltage and the amps and everything on your board, you can just connect to the Wi-Fi on the chip and check it that way. The creator, LOLwheel, he said he might be adding other things to the readout, and you should be able to update your chip using the Wi-Fi, so you can add those features. He said the first feature he wants to add is all the individual cell voltages, which I think would be really nice for those people who have the new boards who can't use the Community Edition app. Alright, now let's go to my screen cap of how to get this chip ready to install.
So, how to get the Owie firmware. It's a little bit more complicated because he doesn't have any builds up on his page. He said he'll eventually do that. But for right now, what you gotta do is you gotta click on Ready to Code down here on this page. I'll give this link in the description to this page. Once you sign in, it'll bring you to here. Then what you gotta do, you gotta go over to .pio, build, D1 mini, and then it says firmware, and download that one. That'll get you your firmware file. So now that you have the firmware downloaded, you're going to need to go to the ESPA 8266 resources page, go down to tools, and get the flash downloader tool. That way we can actually load the firmware onto the chip. I'm pretty sure this only works in Windows, so hopefully you have a Windows machine. Download that. Once you extract that zip folder, you'll get this. You're just going to want to open up that guy. You just hit OK here. You'll get to this screen. Now I already selected this. This won't be selected for you, but you just go in here, grab your firmware, and then this is, you got to type in 0x and then 5 more zeros. That puts it in the first firmware slot on the chip. Leave these alone, and then you just got to find which COM port you're plugged into. So if you select the first one and you hit start and nothing happens, just go through all of them until there's actually a readout on this guy. And then you know that it's programmed when you can go on like your phone, look for Wi-Fi networks, and you find one that's labeled Owie dash some characters, and then you click on that. It brings you to its sign-on page, but really that's just, it just brings you to the readout, and then you can see like all the things that it tracks for you. There'll all be zeros right now because it's not actually plugged into a Onewheel, but that's how you know it's fully programmed. And once you're done with that, you're ready to install. Once you got your chip all programmed, what you're going to need is some wire, proper bits, wire strippers. These are helpful. This long, thin Phillips screwdriver, and then something for your bits to actually use, and a soldering iron. Right here, I've got my Onewheel Pint. Now this already has the quart battery in it and a JWFM chip, but I wanted to, get the Wi-Fi capabilities of this in here, and then also to test it out, see if I should use this on some other boards. Like my brother's, he's got an XR that cannot actually take a battery upgrade at the moment, and if this works, this is a $3 alternative to the JWFFM chip. So first things first, I need a Take the fender off. And we need to get inside this. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there on how to deconstruct this. I'll go through it. It's T20 for these ones, and then T30 for the ones here. Hopefully I don't have to take those off because I don't want to mess up my rail guards. And then you're going to need one of these guys. These are 5-point security Torx. I bet a bunch of people actually have this exact set. It's like the first one on Amazon if you go look for it. So, you got your wrench. Take the foot pad off. Now, there's like 2 sizes of screws on the Pint. If you don't have the magnetic fender, I think the magnetic fender, these screws are different. But otherwise, you have like this size, and there's one longer size. Alright, so those are off. Once these are off, that foot pad, I believe, should fall off. No, I think they're all on by this as well. There we go. Yep, I'll buy one of those longer ones as well. Yep, see, these are all the same size. And then this is one of the longer ones. These suck. There we go. Now we have to get this off, which is always a huge. There we go. And we'll have to get that out. Alright. So, bumper off. We need to get inside of this. So, we're going to have to take our fender lid off as well. Alright. These screws should be the short ones, just like those. Okay, same size. Alright, this is completely undone, but unfortunately, unlike the XR, you can't just unplug it here. Pull the battery tray. So I'm pretty sure we're going to take this whole thing apart. But next, we can use our really skinny screwdriver to take out the 2 screws right in there. There we go. Put it over there. Don't lose those screws in there. They are small, and we'll hide on you. Alright. Well, fortunately, I think I'm going to have to loosen these guys up. Which means it might not stick very well. Once I take this off. Yep, there we go. Now these are T30s. So it should be big guy on the end.
for extra leverage. This thing is nice. As it goes down. Oh, that was not very tight. Probably should check those. These don't have to completely come off, I'm pretty sure. Man, that's actually stuck pretty good. Hopefully I can just heat gun that and get it back. Oh, that was not tight either. Alright, so that should kind of loose. Hopefully, we can pop this guy out. There we go. Should be pretty much. There we go. So now we gotta take this part. This is where you're gonna need your special bits. Pretty sure it's the third smallest. Yep, that guy. So technically this is TS20, it says on it. And we got 30 for these guys and T20 for everything else on it. There's such a pain, but just leave it in. Alright, 2, 4, 6, 8 of these. Flip it over and they all fall out. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh, pretty stuck. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. 8 of those guys. Alright, so currently I do have the JWFM, whatever it is, in here. Kind of just tucked it into the side here. The XR, the cable actually comes on this side, and then you can just pop it in right here. Ooh, and it looks like I forgot about these guys. They are smaller than what I have in this one, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure this is my smallest one. Oh, it's too big. Yep. Now you can either use a small Phillips or a small flathead to get in there, or go get the right bit. Fix kit to the rescue. This one. Every time.
so technically, Torx T9H, so that says. I'll get your little cover off. So now this process is pretty similar to the XR. The BMSs are almost identical in both of them. But essentially, you gotta cut. A little hard to see here. Get this unplugged. Go. And then this guy. It's so tight. There we go. And I'm done. There's the battery out of the way. And this is the quartz. Really tight fit there. This is done with that waffle pattern. Alright, so BMSs are pretty similar, but the wires come on the other side on the XR, which means you can take this up here, because the cords, the wires, go all the way to this side. Here, they come in here and end here, so there's no extra slack to put the FFM chip there. So I just tucked it right down here in the corner, and I didn't isolate anything with like hot glue or tape. So luckily nothing bad happened. But here are the four connections here. So you have this guy on TX minus, and this guy on TX plus, and then RX minus, RX plus over here, and then black is your ground, and red is your 5 volts. So use this wire for. I'm not going to actually need that because I already have the wire soldered onto this guy. So then these. So your 5 volt is next to the square, and your ground is right next to that one. That should be in the same spot on the XR as well. But I'm going to remove this chip and add this chip instead. Yes, it's a little bigger, but it should still fit possibly down here. That ain't gonna work. We're gonna have to find a new spot for this guy. Or add some wires and tuck it in there. Maybe. Yeah. It is technically short enough to fit. But that's the one thing about the JWFFM chip is it is skinny. Definitely a lot smaller than this one. Just have to be a little bit more creative. So we can turn this guy on and work on desoldering this. There's a nice gap for it right here. All right, here's a picture of the BMS and the chip. This is how you should wire them up. Black is ground, red is 5 volts. Here's a picture of the chip with the rest of the wires in it. You've got to jump that D2 pin to the TX pin, and then white from the motherboard goes to the TX as well. You can see those are paired together there. And then that black one is actually an extension wire from the white wire on the BMS. That goes to RX, and then that green wire goes to the motherboard. Here are the official pictures off the Github page. Panic resolved. I did have a slight issue where I had it all wired up and the board would not turn on. Couldn't figure out why. Wasn't getting Wi-Fi off this thing. Plugged it into my laptop. My laptop was telling me that the USB device was taking too much power. I was like, okay, it's got to be shorted out somewhere. So, luckily, I had a voltmeter with the, continuity mode. I was able to test that out, and I found that the two wires, the back of the BMS, the solder was touching, and I was shorting it out. So that's why it wouldn't turn on, nothing would work. But now, this is currently working. My board will turn on, this will slow blink, and if I go to my phone, I can go to the settings, I can go to Wi-Fi, I can find the Owie right here. It'll do that thing where, come on, it asks you to sign into the network, and that's the page that has all of the stuff on it. I don't know how well you can see that. I might put a screenshot in the video, but my battery is at 58.9 volts. Tells me what current. Some other things, I don't know, not super important, because with this mod, your Pint, oh my, hey, this is actually better than the JWFFM chip. So, it says I'm at 77%, which that's what the JWFFM chip does. But if I plug this in, it actually says I'm plugged in. The other one doesn't. And it did have a time up there. So I'm gonna... Alright, never mind. I thought I was gonna put a time up there. Looks like it won't. Anyway, it shows the percentage, and the light bar shows the percentage. So that's all good. They're using the same equation as Chai and JW use, the graph they have. Someone calculated out that equation. Anyway, now to get this back in the board, just roll it back to where we had it before. I'm going to put the chip right here in that nice little pocket. It bumps out there, but there's literally nothing there. So we just gotta manage our wires. This should be able to slide in right there, and then we can just stuff everything down here. If you've got some Captain tape, you know, put it on there if you want. That should, yeah, and then this is the green wire. I just put a shrink wrap on it so it doesn't touch anything. Let's say I could stuff that down there. I can put this guy back on. And you have to cut this out if you're going to put a quart in there. That's in. Just tuck these wires down there. Everything should be good. Since I already put the cord in there the first time, see, it's bumped up a little bit. If you have the regular battery in there, this will perfectly fit down on there. So now I'm going to put these screws back in. Just kind of hold it closed. Get these guys started. Still have another bit in there. This is that pentalope one again. My bad. I like to get two sides done. We don't have to keep holding it closed. There we go. And just put all these screws back in. There we go. Fingers. Right. Just give it one more quick test. That was weird. Probably because we're not all put together right now. I'm gonna say I probably should put these in. Yeah, because nothing's lined up right now. All right, don't need this stupid bit right now. Back to the big guy. Remember to crank those guys tight. You do not want these falling out while they're riding. All right, let's just line this up first. All right, don't be big guy anymore. Back to the T20. 4 short guys going here. Just a little bit too far. Perfect. Guys are in. All right, let's try this one more time. Thread. There we go. Piece back in.
Now we just gotta get our foot pad and our bumper and our fender back on. Alright, first things first. Let's go. Owie Pint bumper is the dumbest thing ever. That's not like there we go. Most annoying part. Okay. Looks like we're ready for foot pad. Yeah, a little discoloration from all that salt on the road. Alright. Shorties up front. Shorties the very end of it. Super long, guys. And we are back together. Oh.
I cut out about maybe an hour of troubleshooting on this thing. The problem I was having is when I put the board fully together, I was getting error 16, which is incompatible hardware. Now, I could not figure out why. When I took it all apart, booted up fine. What I discovered though is the front top left screw on the foot pad, the rear foot pad, if I tightened that too tight, I would get error 16. So you're going to see me loosen it a little bit here, and then the board will turn on fine. I don't know why this is happening, but that was my solution.
Let's get that fender delete back on. I think they make us around a little bit. There we go. Alright, with those crank tight, we screw everything else up. Seriously. And we're fine. I don't know. Maybe pick a better spot than there. That's where I found to put it, and it appears that I can't crank these screws down. This one, it's tight enough. Like, these are squishy. You don't have to crank it. Well, she's back together. Let's just try one more reboot. And she's going fine. Works. Currently on. I don't think Air 16 can show up anytime other than when it's booting. So if it's on, you should be able to do your whole ride, not have a problem. There's that.
Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you found something helpful here. And remember, the Plus is better than the XR. Fight me in the comments.